Hello, and welcome once again to the Dental Marketing Mastery Series. This podcast is brought to you by dentalwebcontent.com and New Patients Incorporated. I'm Howie Horrocks, the founder of New Patients Incorporated. Along with me once again is my friend and partner and the president of New Patients Incorporated, Mark Dilatush. Hello, everybody. Welcome again to our wonderful podcast. We hope you have been enjoying these things as much as we have. Hello, Mark. How you doing?
Good, Howie. How are you?
I'm great.
It's Eagles-Seahawks weekend this Sunday.
Oh, you're coming to our house, dude.
I'm not talking to you for 4 hours. Anyway, that's our own thing. Today we have a podcast which basically says it's not all about you being the dentist. We assume you're a dentist listening to this. So when we say the word you, we mean dentist. And in particular, the podcast is going to be about services. Right, Howie?
Right. We want to get dentists to look at the question, are we promoting the right services? Do we even have the right services?
Right.
And what's the definition of a right service? That sort of thing.
Right. So, so when you create a title like "It's Not All About You," that would lead you to believe that maybe dentists should at least consider promoting something other than services.
Right.
Right?
Or price.
So normally when you have a conversation with a dentist who's been promoting their practice for a little while, you get to the place where you say, well, geez, doc, what are you doing now? I know the result. You've already told me the results of what you're doing now. Tell me what you're doing advertising-wise to generate the results you just spoke to me about. And invariably, it'll be one of two things. It'll be all about an intro price. Maybe not the whole piece or the whole web page or the whole social media post or the whole whatever. Maybe the entire thing isn't about price. But come on, let's face it. The call to action is about a reduced price. Right? Okay.
Right.
So now let's say that you're a dentist who's done that for 28 to 31 months in a row and has already felt the economic downturn of doing that, which all of you will feel. Let's say you've gone beyond that. And now you're going to use price and something else. Some other marketable attribute, something else to brag about your dental practice in an advertisement. What would you choose as a dentist? Most dentists, when I say most, I mean 99.9997% of dentists would say, I have to promote services.
Right.
That's what I do. I do services. I provide dental services. Me and my team and I.
Makes perfect sense.
Doesn't that make perfect sense?
Yeah.
Right? When we titled this, It's Not All About You, we didn't do that to make fun of you or to anger you. We did that, well, we did it to make a splashy title so you'd click on it. Okay. So that you'd be interested in it. Yes, we did that. But what we really did was we said, no, literally, it really isn't all about you. Okay. That's really what we mean by the title. When you go to advertise a dental practice, part of it is about you, the person. Part of it is about the dental services you provide. Part of it could be about price. But what are the other parts? What other parts are as important? Or heck, dare I say, more important?
Exactly.
Okay. So now I'm going to draw your attention to our sister website, dentalwebcontent.com. Under the resources tab, the navigation at the top, you're going to find a marketable attributes scorecard. I would encourage everyone listening to this podcast. Oh, it's free. Doesn't cost you anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Okay. It's free. Just go log on, download it. It's a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't even have to be. It could be in Word. It's really easy to view and understand. What the marketable attributes scorecard is a numeric quantification of what matters most and least to the dental consumer. If you know this going in, if you knew this going in, and it was your job to guide your graphic artist or the person who was writing the content for your advertising, you would know exactly which topics to talk about and which topics not to talk about.
Right. And I think it's really important to note on this. This isn't our idea of what's
no.
What's
our
hot
idea was
in
cutting the check for
it. It's not. It is the result of examination on
Right.
various different ways and topics that you can advertise a dental practice, and what out of the sea of possibilities, which are the ones that work the best historically over a long period of time.
Right.
So that's how to view this.
Right. There's the data comes from multiple sources, but for the majority of the data, it comes from independent consumer research, which numerically, that's where the numbers come from for the most part. The numbers came from all that independent consumer research, which is, I'm going to ask you 4 questions. You tell me how important they are, scale to 1 to 10. Now I'm going to change one of those questions and ask you to do the same thing, and I'm going to do that like 16 times. At the end of that, I'm going to have a real good idea of the number, the numeric grade you give importance to each of these items. Well, within the marketable attributes scorecard, there are main categories. The categories are price, convenience, technology, services, public relations assets. These categories, and experience. These categories, these master categories, then have subcategories. So, for instance, under services, you'd have sedation, IV sedation, sleep apnea treatment, core deep bleaching, short-term ortho, Botox, NTI, Invisalign, cosmetic dentures, do-it-all, smile maker. Just a whole gigantic list of things that may or may not be available in a dental office. Well, which of those matters most? And which of those matters least?
To the consumer.
Not to you, doctor. Okay. We know what matters to you. Okay.
That's what we mean by it's not about you.
That's right. It's not about you. Okay. Okay. What matters the most to the consumer? Because, and here's one of the reasons why this is so profoundly powerful. In all of the promotion you ever do, maybe with the exception of your website, you have limited space. Let's face it, for all the advertising that you pay for, you are paying for space. If you pay for a print ad, you're paying for space. If you pay for a radio ad, you're paying for time. If you pay for mail, you can only mail a piece that's only so big, right? So doesn't it make sense to use that space in a statistically logical format that gives you the absolute positive best chance at resonating with your market? Of course it does. That's what the marketable attributes scorecard does. And the reason why we brought up services and price at the very beginning of this podcast was because, well, let's start with price. If I were to poll, and we have, if we were to poll 100 dentists in a room at one of our seminars, and we asked the question, 1 to 100, what do you think? What's the number of patients or potential patients, dental consumers, who were concerned about price? The dentists in the room, well over 90%. Right, Howie?
Yeah. Not just the dentist, but the staff as well. But go ahead.
The staff believes that as well. Okay. All right. Now, the real number is 36. Look how far reality is from perception.
The perception is that everybody is overly concerned about price. Not true.
That's correct. That's what dentists and team members think.
Right.
Well, we're going to tell you why. Okay. This should be real easy to understand. The reason why is because nobody's telling the dental consumer anything different. Nobody's telling the dental consumer that they could be interested in things like smile makeovers, traditional ortho, implants, neuromuscular dentistry, dentures, cosmetics, teeth whitening, sedation dentistry, Botox. Nobody's talking to the dental consumer and saying, we have convenient location, convenient parking, we have free Wi-Fi, your kids are welcome here. Nobody's saying that you invested in a laser that can find cavities years before we were able to find them with traditional x-rays and save your family money. Nobody's saying that. So when patients call your office, what are the only question they know? There's really two questions that make any sense for them to ask. How much is your initial exam and x-ray? And do you take my insurance?
Yeah.
Are they going to call and say, is this doctor a good doctor? No. They're going to sound like an idiot if they call and ask that question. They're going to expect the yes answer. So the dental market has constricted their choice of questions down to two. How much? And do you take my insurance? So does it make sense that every dentist and every business person up at the front desk of a dental office thinks all patients think about or care about is price? Makes absolute perfect sense why you would believe that.
Right.
But the reality is it's only 36 out of 100. It's not 96 out of 100. Which brings us to your perception as a dentist is that your advertising has to be all about price or all about services or either or. And what we're saying is if you create a piece of advertising that is all about price or all about services, even if you're perfect at writing it, even if it's in a perfect design, you are only 44 points towards 100. You need to get closer to 70, 80, or 90 toward 100. Here's what you're missing. You're missing conveniences. You're missing technology. Most of you will absolutely trip over yourselves to miss public relations assets. You don't recognize things like your own military service. Or maybe you wrote a paper that was published, or maybe you are recognized. You're a lecturer in front of other dentists. Maybe you taught other dentists at some point in the past. Whatever. Maybe you've been on mission trips. Maybe last year you did a Halloween candy buyback program. Maybe you gave a smile to a battered housewife. Whatever. You don't recognize those as being valuable within your advertising. And what Howard and I are saying is they're gold. They're absolute gold.
Yeah, and I think what the reason is because, you know, you and I have been working with dentists for 27 years. We have tons of dental friends, and they're modest overall.
Right.
They're modest. They don't like to. They would view that as bragging about themselves. You know,
Right.
It's actually not, and there's ways to do it that so you don't look like you are, but that's typically the reason. Oh, I don't want to talk about that stuff, you know, blah blah. I'm blowing my own horn. Well, yes, you are blowing your own horn. It's called advertising.
Right.
You just have to be professional about it. That's all.
Right. So here's the bottom line with really today's podcast being, you know, the title. It's not all about you. We understand why you and your team believe that the consumer's only interested in services. Trust me, we get it. We understand that. Okay. The takeaway from this podcast is that's not accurate. That's not the best way to use your advertising space. You have to mix in some convenience. You have to mix in some technology. You have to mix in some public relations. You have to have some price addressed in your advertising piece. Remember, addressing price doesn't mean being the cheapest. Addressing price might be listing the insurance plans you participate with. Or it might be a technology you use that saves the family money. It might mean mentioning that you submit insurance claims electronically so that they get reimbursed as fast as possible. It might be any of those things, but you can't. It might be financing options. It might be that you have your own in-house financing option for the uninsured. It could be any of those things about price. As long as you recognize to mom that you too are dedicated to keeping the dental costs down, you don't have to have a starburst and a $39 exam and x-ray special every time you promote dentistry. We're proof of that. We don't do that. We've been doing this for 27 years with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients in 5 countries. We never do that. So it's not all about price. It's not, and never has been, all about you. Okay. It's not just about services. Here's what it's about. It's about the right mix of price, convenience, services, technology, and public relations assets.
Yeah, it's a balance. As any Buddhist will tell you, it's important to have a balanced life. And in this regard, it's important to have a balanced marketing plan that presents multiple benefits, but they're not all in the same category. They're spread out. And what that will do is it will hit various people in different ways.
Right.
Mom might not be at all interested in neuromuscular dentistry. Okay. But she might be quite interested in the fact that you're open on Saturday. She doesn't have to take her kids out of school and take time off work to get there.
There you go.
That's a convenience.
That's right. And so, you know, they may not be interested in, you know, they may not have the insurance that you list in your advertising, but they may be interested in the plan you have for people who don't have insurance.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
They for their husband, they may not be that interested in the fact that you do core deep bleaching, but man, you do same day dentistry. You mean I can get him in and out in one day?
Right.
That's of interest to every wife, exactly. I would think. Okay.
Or you can address his snoring.
Okay, there you go. Right, address his snoring. So anyway, the point is is it's really not all about you, but we didn't use that title in a derogatory manner. We did it so hopefully this lesson sinks in. If you're going to self-direct your advertising, if you're putting that on your shoulders, if you're not letting us do it, okay, at least follow the recipe we use. The marketable attributes scorecard at dentalwebcontent.com under resources is the recipe. Okay. That's the recipe our designers use. Here, take it. It's yours. Please go promote dentistry properly. The more dentists that are out there promoting dentistry properly, the less we will degrade the industry.
Correct. And the less that it will be viewed as a commodity.
Exactly.
So there's 27 years, the benefits of 27 years of experience in dental marketing, all on one page.
So we hope you go to the website, you go to resources, download it. Go ahead, make wallpaper, give it to whoever you use. If you use NPI, obviously we already use this as our worksheet, as our guide. It's basically our one sheet Bible. To template all of the advertising that we do for all of our clients. But we can't be the marketing firm for every dentist, and we recognize that. So take our recipe and go forth and advertise properly.
There you go. Well, we're going to bring this to a close for today. We sure are happy that we have the audience that we have, and it's growing. I'm amazed, and it's a lot of fun. So, Mark, we'll see you next time, and to all of you out there, we'll see you next time as well.
Thank you.
We hope you've enjoyed our podcast today. You can find more podcasts on our YouTube channel, on Stitcher, and iTunes. Also on our websites, dentalwebcontent.com and newpatientsinc.com.